Hi guys, today we're going to look at how to trigger animator animations using playMaker in Unity3D. I'm using Unity 4.5, I believe it is, and let's just check the version. Yes, 4.5. It shouldn't really matter as long as you're using any version of the 4. I'm working on this game called Victor, and let's just hit play for a second to review the animations I'm using. Of course, there are some level animations. Those are triggered normally. And there we go. We have this running animation, as you can see. We also got a jump. And let's just see if we can get him killed as well, because we have a death animation. There we go. Yeah. And he can still jump even when dead and run, apparently, or at least the sound is running. Okay, now we got an idea what he's able to do. So let's check out what's going on in the scene. We have our character hiding in here. There he is, Victor. It's a free skeleton from BitGem on the asset store, so that's pretty nice. Excuse me, just need a sip of coffee. Well, I got my player right here, and I got an entire model and everything just as a subgroup to a empty game object, and the empty game object I just called player, as you can see. I got a lot of different things because we got a lot of things working on this guy, but for our concern, we're just going to look at this one. And as you can see, we have a animator added, and it has a controller. And if you are clueless to what an animator is and the controller, basically it's a way to control animations other than running them from a script. Let's see if we can. Yeah, I think, yeah, this one, the buzzsaw. It's an asset I bought on the asset store. It's broken from default because the animations were called per script in a bad manner. Anyway, I wrote my own scripts. As you can see, I call them the same as the creator, except I added the fixed. So let's open the script. So this is how you would do it ordinarily. So you can set the animation and the animation name to loop and just play the animation. So it runs basically forever. That's how you usually or used to run animations. Even on characters, you would call them in a script. So whenever you were interacting with the player using your controller or something, the controller would also make sure that the animations were running. So when you were pressing right on the keyboard, he would animate running right and, of course, move right as well. Now we have the option of using the animator. And the way you work with this is you need, of course, your skeleton. So I got this skeleton, and he got a lot of animations from default. You can see there's a run right there. There was also a lot of animations I did not use. And where I got stuck is probably where most people get stuck is, well, what do I do with this? Well, first of all, I made it my empty game object, and then I put my skeleton base, this guy, as a child object of the empty game object. Then I added a component called the Animator. And so you can just type it right here. There we go. That's the one. And you will get this the screen right here. When you start out, it has something here to begin with. That's fine. But the avatar is empty, so I just got my avatar from right here. This is your avatar. And just drag that right in there. Except I did it from this location. Doesn't really matter. It just needs to know how does this model look, and it's basically where it does its reference from. So when you call an animation, it's going to refer to this avatar and see or show how it looks. Okay. The most important thing is the controller. You can create these by right-clicking right here and just create a Animator controller. But I already got one. I got this one called Player, and that's the one I dragged right there. When I opened it, I get this Animator screen. And this is where I got stuck. Well, not really, because it's easy to add these boxes. So if we find our skeleton again, you can see it's right here. Then we have these animations. Then you simply just drag the animation you want in your game in here. There we go. Now we add this single animation to our player. And the way we make it work is idle. When the character is idling, I can right click this and make a transition into this. But how do you make it go from idle to the damage? Well, it's something to do with this transition. And basically, you can call some parameters to force them to change, or you can do it on time. So, for example, if I detected my player were to take damage, another NPC is hitting him now, then I would enable this checkmark. It's something I created, so whenever this is enabled, I actually got one right here. Show this animation, if it makes sense. So we are here. The player takes damage. This one turns on. It jumps over here to this one. This one turns off and it goes back. Except we haven't defined the go back part yet. There we go. Okay. But right now we haven't hooked it up. So if you take damage now, it won't go over there. You have to click the small line down here in conditions. You can select these conditions over here and something called exit time. Exit time is, let's imagine the animation is running for 0.8 seconds, as you can see it's right now. Then it would automatically switch to this one. This is a nice way to set up different idle animations. You can set this to maybe 100 and have different idle states, so he's going to switch switch between them or something like that. But as this is about taking damage, we can switch this to take damage. So when take damage is true, go right. And then when it's here, the animation will run. It's a bit hard to see right now. I'll show you in a bit how I actually did this. Okay, now to get back, we can just leave it at the exit time, because sure, you take damage and then it goes back to idle or wherever it came from. And you may notice I don't have dual ways for many of these. Well, death, of course, you don't want to go back on the death animation, because that will re-rise him. Well, unless you have some sort of revive, then that would be cool. Okay. Let's go over my animation. In this game, I have my idle. Then I have these parameters. I have one called jumping, die, and take damage, and speed. Speed is a float. You can add these right here. And the reason I have a float value is because I'm detecting the player's speed, and if the speed is above or below 0, then I'm going to show the run animation. And the fun part about working with 3D over 2D is actually that I don't have to worry about if he's running left or right on my screen. It's going to work either way because the animation is going to run on my character or on my avatar as we defined previously. So I also have them assigned with these animations. So for example, my speed is 0. This is this one. He can't walk, this guy. You could easily define a walk as well, but we're just going to work with running. So you can see this one has 3 arrows. That's because I have multiple ways, as you can see. There's 2 transitions because he might run left or he might run right. And this value really depends on if he's running left or right. Plus values are running right, negative values are running left. So I just set the speed float, that's this one, to be greater than 0.1. Then we're going to run this animation. Also, if the animation is less than minus 0.1, that means he's running left on the screen. Also the same animation. And if the speed is less than 0.1 or greater than minus 0.1, that means equal to 0. Then go back to idle. The reason I have to do this is because there are no equal. I can't select equal. I can only select greater or less. That also allows me to add a frame of, you could set this to 0.2 in case you want something, a character to slide or something. Imagine running down a hill. You can add a boolean or something to detect if you're sliding down a hill, and this at the same time the speed, and then just run the sliding animation. Imagine Sonic think he has a sliding animation when he stops running. That's where you would add that. Then we have this one, the jump animation. There's only one thing to check here. That's the boolean. Is the jumping true? Yes. Then show the jump animation. However, we are not going back to idle ever. If we are leaving the jump animation, we're going this way and jumping is set to false. But that's fine, because if we go down here and it instantaneously detects that where run speed is 0, then it's just going to back to idle at once, so it's just going to make a circle, and you won't even see the run animation. I also have a jump detection from run, so you can run and jump and stand and jump. That's nice. Next one is death. To run the death animation, you can see it right here. Oh, yeah. I just have a boolean again. Die. Is he died? Is he died? Brilliant. Doesn't matter. It's only me that's going to look at it. So yeah, he died. And you can see I have all the animations have access to this, meaning he can die from any of these states. Luckily, because if you forgot to add it while running, in theory, you could then cheat the game and just keep running and never die, even though your health was 0. And then we have the damage. I'm using this one called Damage Right. It's just one of the multiple damage animations that came with the skeleton. I thought this one is fine. There has been a few problems with it, but I might change it before I'm done. Luckily, it's extremely easy to change. You can just switch the animations out right here. You can see this is the die animation. Sorry, take damage. Take damage right. I just needed a generic take damage. And again, once it's leaving on take damage false, meaning I have to make sure I turn the damage boolean off in my scripts, and then my exit time, because we want to show the animation. So you can see, take damage and then back to run. It's fine. So that's the animator. Of course, when I started out, I only had the idle and run. This one I'm not using. It came with the animator. Just leave it. These two, and then I worked on to jump, and then I added the damage, and death is the latest I added. It's new. So, okay. Here's the tricky part. Now the fun stuff is over. No, it's not. How do I trigger these from playMaker, you say? Well, that's what we're going to show you now. So I have these. Well, I'm only using float and boolean. In playMaker, I have my player. You can see I have 4 FSMs right here. I have 2 right here. So let's check out one of them. So let's get rid of the game window. There we go. And I have my movement. Well, this one is a bit odd because I have enabled both keyboard and joystick on my game, meaning the keyboard is for me to test, and I sometimes send the game to people I know and they can play around with it on a PC build. My goal with this game is, of course, to release it on Android, and therefore we need the joystick. But right now, both works. Sorry, both joystick and keyboard works. Anyway, everything here is just to control the player. And you can see I'm using velocity because the player is controlled with rigid body physics and his mass is only 1. But when you're using physics, you can use velocity. And that's nice, meaning you don't have to worry about all those simple move actions, etc. We have our set velocity, a lot of controls. You can see the simple move is right here, but it's disabled. That's because when I started out, I added the simple move just to get the thing going. Well, we're done with that. But when we're moving, this basically just detects right or left values. We're going to somewhere down here. In fact, it's right here. We're going to detect our speed, and we're going to set our boolean in the animator. Let's just switch to it. Oh, sorry, our float right there. So, let me get that back on screen. There we go. Set animator float on every frame. Parameter speed. Parameter is this one. Animator float. It's a default value in playMaker, but you can see this entire animator thing. You have to download that from playmaker.com. No, sorry, HutonGames.com. It's not in playMaker by default. You have to add it yourself. But that's just a Unity asset package you download and unpack into your project. I did that, and I got these functions right here. And for some reason, it doesn't show. Usually, it shows how many times you have used one of these. But let's see, set animation bool I've used a lot of times. And set animator float I've used a lot of times. And that's basically it. Those are the only 2 extra actions I've used in this project. And you can see it's used right here. Game object owner doesn't matter. But the parameter, well, the thing is, it's asking where is the animator. Well, the animator is right here. It's on the same game object as you. We have our rigid body. Well, let's just close that. We have our animator right here, and we have our movement right here. So it's on the same. That's why I mean it doesn't matter. Of course, it's very important. It's asking you which animator should I animate. Well, the same as this one, same object. And the parameter we are going to change is over here. It's called speed. Speed, yes. And the value I'm going to replace this one with is the one called local speed. Well, local speed is something I create up here. You can see velocity, and then I set my vector 3xyz value, and I store the x value as local speed. It's just a variable, a float variable right here, and I'm just getting it, and then I'm putting it in over here. That's all that's happening, and I'm doing the same up here. Let's hit play so we can see it in the works. And we're just waiting for the game to load. Here we go. You can see I'm using keyboard right now, so it's jumping over there. Now I'm actually touching the joystick. But what you want to pay attention to is, well, right now I'm just running against the wall. Where is it? Set velocity. There we go. Oh yeah, movement. That's because if I'm using joystick, I'm using a different variable, but it's doing the same thing. I'm going to switch to joystick now. There you can see local speed is minus 4.8, and over here it's minus 5-ish. So it's switching a bit, as you can see. But that's the joystick. I'm holding it with my mouse on the other screen. Pull it over here. Maybe it's easier to understand. See the joystick? There we go. Value and value. And this is actually triggering the animation. You can see the idle animation is running now. So he's standing, breathing. I'm going to run. And you can see we are in the run animation. It's a bit of a bug there because right now I'm not touching anything. He should be landing on the ground, but the ground didn't detect him because he got stuck on the doorway or something. That's fine. The jump, and you can see it's switching. And that small, you can see he's just taking a step when he's landing over here. That's fine. It looks natural. And that's just the run animation, just starting to run just a bit. Okay. So that's basically how you do. Okay, let's see if we can find our jump thing. Well, it's a bit tricky because I see a lot of people getting stuck with making characters jump. Well, if we ignore the animations, it's easy to make things jump when you're using rigid body physics. And see, we start here. It's just going to set a lot of booleans. Jump now, and the animator jump. It's going to set to false when we start the game, meaning he's not jumping. We're going to set this one global jumping. That's something I use in another script. And jump button down and bool change. So you can see these two are actually the controls. These are just checkers I use in both animation and, well, a few different places to interact with the world. But all it's doing is it's running right here, checking if I'm pressing space or if I'm pressing the on-screen button for the joystick. When I do that, it's going to jump down here at force, and that's how you jump. We're just adding force upwards. It's as simple as that, and you can still change direction mid-air. And sure, that's fine. The value right now, this is called hard coded because it's 400 set in here. You can't change it directly. I might change that later because I might add something like a booster or something. So I don't want this value to just be 400 all the time. When he jumps, I'm going to set the global value to true. Ignore that. But this one is important. Set animator boolean jump true. That is this one. So whenever this one hits true, this one goes to true, and why can't I move? There we go. This one goes to true. Not sure why it won't allow me to move downwards, but ignore that. Okay, player jump. Let's try all three. Yeah, I'm running a 3-monitor setup, so cramming everything into one screen is just annoying. Okay, let's see. We got a jump script right here. Got a player, but we want to check this one and make sure I'm just going to press the button. This button right there. Oh yeah, we can do this. There we go. Much better. So I'm going to press the button and there's something, a lock or something. I think there we go. Lock. Now we should be able to see this one, this one, this one at the same time. Click. There we go. And check spacebar. There we go. And apparently this lock doesn't work for shit. Addon used. Oh, fine. It was hard to see, but this one actually switched this jumping mechanism over here to true, and then it showed the animation. This one applied force to our character, making him physical moving upwards. Up here I have nothing right now. It's a backup I have for adding something later, and in my script you'll see that a lot. I have a lot of these extra backups or pauses if you want. That's basically all I do. I have one more to show you. I have my die. That's on the health, FSM, and die. So basically all I do when we start the game, I think I have one object out here called initiate. And the initiate is a reset function. And player dead set to false. There it was. Yep. So when we start the game, the player is not dead. But we have this HP checking and doing some damage. And you can see every time we do damage, we switch the animator. You can see take damage. That's this one down here. It's true. And over here we set it to false again. So we have this extremely fast switch from true to false. I may have to put in a small delay eventually. And well, we'll see. The death thing, we have it right here. We show a animator die value to true. That's this one. That's the one that's basically going to end the game because all the values are going to point to this and it stops. The last one I have is just going to call an event somewhere that's going to disable movement and trigger a menu so you can restart the game. I think that's it for now. I hope it helped to make you understand how the Animator works, even though it may have been complicated. And if you have wondered about these errors, don't. It's just bullshit. Just ignore them. That's just because I'm doing things I shouldn't be doing, and that will give you errors. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you learned something. Comment, rate, and maybe subscribe. And I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.